At just 22 years old, Derrick Rose did the unthinkable. He became the youngest MVP in NBA history, dethroning legends twice his age. He wasn't just fast, he was a blur. He wasn't just fearless. He attacked the rim like gravity didn't exist. For a brief, electrifying stretch, Rose wasn't only the face of Chicago, he was the face of the NBA's future. But then, everything changed. Injuries stole his explosiveness, leaving fans haunted by one question. How unstoppable could he have been if his prime had lasted? This is the story of Derrick Rose, his rise, his peak, his heartbreak, and why he remains one of the most unforgettable players in basketball history. Early life and college star born and raised in Chicago, Derrick Rose grew up in one of the toughest neighborhoods in the city. Basketball became his escape and his calling. His talent was obvious early, and by high school, he was already considered one of the best prospects in the nation. He went on to play 1 year at Memphis under coach John Calipari. There, Rose's explosiveness and leadership carried the Tigers all the way to the NCAA championship game in 2008. Though they lost in heartbreaking fashion, Rose proved he could perform on the biggest stage, raising his draft stock to the very top. When the Chicago Bulls won the lottery, the story felt scripted. The hometown kid, ready to lead his city back to glory. The NBA had its next superstar. Entering the NBA. In the 2008 to 2009 season, Rose wasted no time proving he belonged. He averaged 16.8 points and 6.3 assists, winning Rookie of the Year and immediately establishing himself as one of the league's most exciting young guards. But it was the playoffs that announced his arrival. Against the defending champion Boston Celtics, Rose dropped 36 points in his postseason debut, tying Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record for the most points ever in a playoff debut. Even in a losing series, he had already shown flashes of greatness. Rose wasn't just a prospect anymore. He was a rising superstar, and Chicago believed they had found their savior. The rise to MVP. The next 2 years saw Rose's game evolve rapidly. His scoring jumped to over 20 points per game, and his leadership became undeniable. But it was the 2010-11 season that cemented his place in history. At just 22 years old, Derrick Rose averaged 25 points, 7.7 assists, and 4.1 rebounds while leading the Bulls to the best record in the NBA, 62-20. His ability to dominate games despite not being an elite shooter made him nearly unstoppable. One moment he was exploding to the rim, the next he was threading impossible passes. That season, Rose won the MVP award, the youngest player to ever do it. He beat out LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, and Dwight Howard, proving that for a brief moment, he was the face of the league. Chicago wasn't just a playoff team, they were contenders again, and Rose was their engine. Prime Derrick Rose. So, what made Prime Derrick Rose so unstoppable? It wasn't just one thing, it was the complete package of athleticism, skill, and mentality. First, his explosiveness. Rose had a first step that defenders simply couldn't stay in front of. Once he decided to drive, he was gone, blowing past opponents and attacking the rim with fearless abandon. His vertical made him a dunking threat, but his body control allowed him to finish in traffic with circus-like layups. Second, his handles. Rose's crossover was vicious, capable of dropping defenders to the floor. Combined with his hesitation moves and spin drives, he kept defenders guessing at all times. Finally, his mentality. Rose played with an intensity that matched his city. He wasn't afraid of the big moment, and he carried himself with quiet confidence. That's why he was able to rise so quickly in a league filled with legends. The playoff battles. The 2011 playoffs were Rose's biggest stage. Leading the Bulls to the Eastern Conference Finals, he faced off against LeBron James, Dwyane Wade, and Chris Bosh's Miami Heat. While the Bulls fell short, Rose's performances cemented his status as one of the league's brightest young stars. Even when defenses collapsed on him, Rose never backed down. He was relentless in attacking, fearless against the best defenders in the game. Though Chicago came up short, fans believed it was just the beginning, that Rose would be back, stronger, and ready to take the throne. But sadly, destiny had other plans. The injuries, a shattered dream. In April 2012, disaster struck. During Game 1 of the Bulls' first-round playoff series against the 76ers, Rose tore his ACL. Just like that, the brightest young star in the league was sidelined. The injury began a devastating cycle of setbacks. Rose missed the entire 2012 to 2013 season, and when he returned, further injuries to his knees slowed him down. His once unmatched explosiveness never fully returned, robbing him of the very weapon that made him special. The heartbreak wasn't just for Rose, it was for Chicago and for the entire NBA. Fans didn't just lose a player, they lost the chance to see one of the most electrifying primes extended. The comeback attempts. Even after injuries, Rose never stopped fighting. He reinvented his game, relying more on mid-range shooting, playmaking, and veteran leadership. He had flashes of his old self, like his 50-point game with the Minnesota Timberwolves in 2018, a night that brought fans to tears. While he never returned to MVP form, Rose's resilience earned him respect. He became a valued role player, a mentor to younger guards, and a reminder of what true perseverance looks like. In a league that often forgets its fallen stars, Rose's story remained alive because of his determination. Legacy, more than a what-if. So, how good was prime Derrick Rose actually? He was breathtaking. He was the youngest MVP ever, a player who could go toe-to-toe with legends and make them sweat. At his peak, he was one of the most unguardable forces in the NBA, an explosive point guard who brought an entire city back to life. Rose's legacy is bittersweet. Injuries cut short what could have been a Hall of Fame career filled with championships and MVPs. But his impact goes beyond trophies. He inspired a generation of players with his style, toughness, and story. And he reminded fans that greatness isn't only measured in longevity, it's also about those unforgettable moments that define an era. Conclusion. Derrick Rose's prime may have been short, but it was unforgettable. He gave us one of the most exciting stretches in NBA history, carried a city on his back, and delivered memories that fans will never forget. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more NBA breakdowns. Who do you think had the most tragic what-if career in NBA history? Drop your thoughts in the comments.